Hey, what's happening, War Gamers? It is another video for Marvel Crisis Protocol from Aegisbrand Studios, and today we are taking a look at Loki and Hela. So this is going back to the Asgardian faction or affiliation for the game. As typical, this isn't going to be a full review. I'll give some thoughts and comments as I take a look at things. But it's one of those things where we're mostly just taking a look at the models and the components that come with it. So let's get right in there, and we're going to do our typical thing. We're going to dig everything out here and put the box off to the side. And for anyone who's been watching these videos, you'll notice I'm not really taking a look at the instructions these days, mostly because they've kind of standardized a lot of things. So there's not really a whole lot going on with them. Now, granted, this is one of the older ones, so you can see that it lacks the part numbers on here, but it looks like it's going to be a pretty straightforward build, so I'm not too worried about that. So let's take a look at the actual cards and tokens that we get with it. So tokens are tokens. We've seen these. I like them. Good card stock. We're done with that. So let's take a look at the rest of the cards that come with it, namely the ability cards and these cards themselves. So let's see, right off the bat, we got a couple of unaffiliated tactics cards. These, again, for anyone who's not too familiar with it, you basically select a bunch of these when you're building your roster. Then you can take a couple of them for the actual mission that you're going into. They do different things. Yeah, so there's some nice stuff in here. Something that kind of boosts your attack or your defense dice right there. And this one is for use for Loki and Thor right here. And it looks like it's basically get help. That's fantastic. And then we got ourselves a copy of the Infinity Gem, which is the Mind Gem right here. And yeah, so it looks like this gives you a little bit of extra abilities here. In this case, basically it gives you an additional short movement that you can use for expending some power. And that's something we'll actually see with Loki here. You can actually see he is a gem bearer. And a couple other ones have that. Star-Lord has it. I know that for sure. I'm betting Doctor Strange probably has it. I think a couple of the Black Order probably have it. But Loki himself, pretty solid for a 4-threat character. He's got some good mystic defense. We don't see a lot of high mystic defense. Standard physical and energy defense, 5 health, which is decent. And it's got some decent abilities. It looks like he's kind of a sneaky, tricky character. His Asgardian, he gets the extra power, which is always really nice. Yeah. So yeah, his God of Mischief looks like it forces an extra power to be expended when in used. Standard strike. The Frost Blast is kind of nice. Anything that gives the status effects is always kind of nice to see it. And yeah, so Loki's kind of cool. Hela is oh wow, okay, so 6 health on a 4 threat, with 4s across the board for defense. So she's actually quite beefy in that regard. Her basic attack causes bleed, so that's really nice. Being anything that can shake that status, and especially when you can start dealing some extra damage, make the other player actually really have to think about what they want to do is always good. Her whole shtick is the soul tokens, which allows her to do different things. I believe I heard something about, on the back of the card, if she has enough soul tokens, she can actually save herself from getting KO'd, which is excellent. But yeah, so that's kind of cool right there. She's Asgardian, so she has that ability there to get the extra power. But all in all, decent cards. I'm looking forward to getting them on the table and seeing what they are like. So as far as the models themselves go, we got ourselves a big base and some little bases. So I'm guessing that Hela looks like she goes on a large base. So we're going to take a quick look. So we got Loki here. Oh yeah, Loki looks super easy to build right there. I don't think there's going to be much problem at all assembling him. The only thing I really see here, those are his bloody horns. I really hate small pieces like that. The little tiny pieces for the horns are just, yeah, that's going to be annoying. But in general, looking forward to it. It looks like he has kind of like the standard supervillain pointing at things that he wants to see explode with his staff there. I do like the base effect. It's something other than the typical tactile rock. It looks like it's supposed to maybe be some ice to represent his his frost giant heritage there. But yeah, the Loki model looks pretty straightforward, and yeah, so we'll see what it looks like. Hela has a very dynamic looking model. Like everything about her just conveys motion. Like you look at the what is that? Is that smoke there? It looks like a little bit of smoke there. Um, is that? Oh, yeah. So anyway, everything just conveys motion. The forward motion of her body right there, the smoke or the magical effects just getting kicked back, even the cloak. Yeah, the model looks actually quite good. So we're gonna get them assembled and then take a look at the finished product. So we have Hela and Loki put together. Both models fairly straightforward for assembly. You can definitely see where these being some of the earlier kits that have come out. I did have some complaints with it. I'm gonna actually start off with Hela here, and right off the bat, one of the first complaints I have with Hela, if I can ever get this thing to focus, actually comes from the smoke that she's standing on. It took me a little while to actually get that or not centered, but sort of like aligned, so it was going on there properly, which was a pain in the behind a bit, and a lot of it just comes down to the nature back here. Like the smoke kind of like you see that weird little back of the knee joint right there, and then this smoke sort of sits into some divots in the back. So there was definitely the guiding divots and points that a lot of the newer models have, but it just wasn't quite, for lack of a better term, as elegant as some of the newer ones. But just in general, the motion on this model is just fantastic. Like, just look at that. She's moving forward. She's preparing to engage her opponents. It is just a fantastic range of motion on it. The forward motion of the hands, holding her little spear back there, the smoke just billowing behind her, the cape lit up. This is a great bit of motion here. Everything is designed to draw the eye, which is fantastic. A little bit of a cross movement between the smoke and her own body, creating that sort of X effect. I really like it. I think this is a model that, if well painted, it is going to stand out on the table quite nicely. And I think she might very well be a lot of fun to paint. It is kind of a shame that she's one of the earlier models because you can still see some areas where there's some gaps. And it's just, it's something that, if you want to take the time, you'll have to get it puttied in there. I don't know if I'm going to really take the time with these ones to really get that extra level in there, because they do look fine otherwise. But yeah, no, good model otherwise. Just a little disappointed with some of the design. With Loki, interestingly enough, I very similar problems. Like right off the bat, you can see some gaps right up there around the neck. I couldn't quite find a way to get the head to fit in properly and have the hair on the back fit properly. So unfortunately, a couple gaps there. The horns, oh my goodness, like those things were so tiny, they had to slot in just right. I almost lost them a couple times there. I actually got to go back and shave a little bit more down because you can see a bit of flashing there. My other beef with Loki, because otherwise he was really easy to assemble, was getting this bottom piece, this magical stuff, to really line up well. It was a little tricky. In the end, I just kind of had to put him on the base and assemble it on the base itself. But even there, you can see there's still some gaps there. Not quite as dynamic as Hela is. He does have that great onward minion pose going on with him. And just in general, he's a fine model. The fact that so much of him was one piece, like each arm was one thing, like you had to attach the staff, but that's not too hard. If they had simply had the horns as part of the head, it would have been a lot better. Oh, I just noticed I missed some flash there. And then the legs being one piece. He was otherwise really easy to assemble, quite simple. So either way, yeah, that is Loki and Hela, the god of mischief and the god of death, I believe it is, for Marvel Crisis Protocol. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I am putting together more content for this, all sorts of gaming systems. So, yeah, the more support I get, the more I can keep doing this. And be sure to let me know in the comments below what you like, what you don't like, and all that sort of fun stuff. And as always, happy wargaming.